Well, we are on the final day of the month of February, and we are closing out this month and closing out the book of Ecclesiastes. And here we are, 59 days into reading the Bible through in a year. Today's devotion is called No One Is Exempt, and we are on February 28th. So today's morning rinse is the last chapters of Ecclesiastes. It's 9 through 12. And so go ahead and read those last conclusion documented words from Solomon and come on back and we'll talk about the featured verse. So the featured verses are both Ecclesiastes 2:13 and 14. So we have two featured verses today. The conclusion, when all has been heard, is fear God and keep his commandments, because this applies to every person. For God will bring every act to judgment, everything which is hidden, whether it is good or evil. I am so excited to be done with another book, and Ecclesiastes finalizing February, and this last section of our reading is so cool. I don't know if you've read Ecclesiastes before. If you have, I'd love to hear your insights. But the book of Ecclesiastes, it's very short. It's not very long, just 12 chapters. But even though it is short, it is full of instructions from Solomon. He writes about money. He writes about wisdom. He writes about obedience to God, death, possessions, work, loving on your wife, so much more. And when reading the Bible, especially books like this one, it can honestly be easily viewed as not applicable to the younger generation because there's so much wisdom and so much subject matter packed into this. But Solomon is so cool. He has this whole entire chapter in Ecclesiastes just speaking directly to youth and encouraging them to remember God even as they grow up. And no matter what portion of this book speaks to you, whether it is, portions about wisdom and portions about money, whatever it is that speaks to you, or whatever portions seem confusing, we cannot skip over the last two verses. And those are the last two verses that I have as the featured verse. So no matter what we are going through and what we are seeking to understand in the wisdom that Solomon was conveying, and whatever we're seeking in our lives, we must work towards living for God and seeking his will for our lives. I'm 100% believing that we need to enjoy life to the fullest, but in an effort to do that, we also have to be very obedient while we are having fun and living our life to the fullest. And as we live our lives, remember that our choices are being watched, even those choices we make when we are alone. I mean, it's scriptural. It says that he is watching the choices that we make even when we are alone. So therefore, Solomon instructs us that no matter our age, to fear God and to keep his commandments. There will always be those around us who will not heed the commandments of the Bible. There will always be somebody around us with that. And there will always be somebody who disobeys authority. But do not let that sway you from how you act. When we stand before God and when we stand alone, giving an account for our actions, whether that's good or evil, we will, in essence, literally be standing before God alone, like I said. It's not going to be the friends that have tried to sway us, and it's not going to be those people who have tripped our trigger, if you will. It's not going to be any of those people. It's going to be us and us alone standing in front of God, holding ourselves, to that position, and he will be measuring and judging our actions, whether they're good or evil. And if we fear God, meaning have full respect for him, then this will help guide our choices out of love for God. And our love for Him will lead us to make better choices in our lives, whether we are younger or whether we are older. So let me read those featured verses again one more time as we close out Ecclesiastes. The conclusion, when all has been heard, is this: fear God and keep His commandments. Because this applies to every person. For God will bring every act to judgment, everything which is hidden, whether it is good or evil. It's so interesting how that it all just boils down to two things: fear God and keep His commandments. I mean, out of all of the wisdom that Solomon conveyed through the book of Ecclesiastes and other books as well, out of all the things that he writes about, and I can't wait to get into more of his writings, So as you are reflecting tonight, I want you to write down what God spoke to you about today. Is there anything that is done in private that when He watches your life, would He question that? Would He say, Anita, you really need to step up your game here and quit doing that in private? Or, maybe you need to do this a little bit stronger. I mean, is there anything? Is there any area of my life that I'm not fearing God? Is there any area of life that I'm not truly taking serious, And we've been on this for literally 59 days and almost 2 months. And the growth that I have heard about already from some of you has been incredible. And I just am so excited about what we are doing in the next month as well. And so when we are starting our journey into March, we are going to be studying the book of Ephesians for sure. And so we're back in the New Testament again. And so tonight, when you are writing your reflection and ending this chapter, write down what God spoke to you about. And I would love to hear. And be sure and join our Facebook group if you are not on there. It's Rinse, Reflect, Repeat. And if you are one that hasn't yet gotten my journal and you are wanting to just have some kind of documentation for writing things down, go to the show notes rather and order the journal. Tomorrow is a new day, a new book, a new month, and I am so excited to be doing this with you. So until tomorrow, keep rinsing, reflecting, and repeating. God bless you.